Hail, hail, and welcome to the 30th edition of the Tempe Stand podcast, and we are a Hail Hail media production. Let's not beat about the bush here. This pod is basically us fawning over the wind on Wednesday night. We try our best to keep our feet in the deck, but I think we fail miserably. One wee things we go in, Marty had a bit of feedback on his mic, so at times it goes up and down, but it's nothing too bad. So, see you on the other side.
Okay, folks, good evening. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Temporary Stand podcast number 30. And I'm joined tonight over in Glasgow by Johnny.
Evening.
And in Calm Slang. Is it Calm Slang or was that yet? By Scotty.
Good evening.
And in Dirty Dragona by Richard. How are you, brother?
Not bad, mate. Not bad.
Richie, I'm going to come to you first. It was a bit of a stretch, very high-paced. A lot of hard work by the team, a brilliant goal by Tony Watt. But basically, why didn't we beat Dundee United?
I know, I'm outraged.
I'm only joking. What a night, eh? Barcelona.
It was amazing, absolutely amazing. What can you say? Amazing atmosphere, the thing before the display before the game, the whole atmosphere, amazing. The players, Neil Lennon, absolutely amazing night. I suppose that we'll never forget, you know.
Johnny, I've been telling anybody who wanted to listen that you were the first person I ever heard utter the words Tony Watt. Do you want to take a bit of credit for yourself or something?
I've been taking credit and work all day, to be honest with you. It was against Barcelona. I seen him playing the next gen last year, so it's good then the year later that he's doing it against Barcelona in the first team. I just spotted him and he stood out. He was just as he is now. He's strong, fast, big, direct. He just wants to score goals. And that's what he was doing in the youth team. This is what he's doing in the first team. So I'm really pleased for him.
Do you think he'll be able to hold the place down now, or will he be a super sub, or is Lennon going to wrap him up and cut and wool for a wee while, or what do you think?
He doesn't seem the type that would need to wrap in cotton wool. He seems to have a big time attitude. He seems to know what he wants, and he's worked hard to get it. I mean, he walks about with his tap off all the time. You know, he's built like a tank. You know what I mean? So he's not a wee skinny guy. And any time somebody's coming on, he's storing his tap off for about 30 seconds before he puts it on. But he's got a big time attitude, so hopefully he'll be able to keep it going and progress. Because he'll hit a lull. You know what I mean? But he's looking amazing. Got to say.
Well done again. Kudos to the man himself there for making that call a couple of months back. Scotty, I'm assuming you were able to see the game last night and you weren't playing drunk. Yesterday, I suppose when the draw was made, we thought it was tough. But I had sort of been saying, look, let's just enjoy it. You know, don't get too hung up on teams or tactics or whatever. Let's just go and enjoy the raid, as I was saying, of the Champions League this year. To which yesterday you basically told me to F off because you were panicking. And you had been sort of going through all the different permutations of our lineup and all the sort of stuff in your head. On kickoff, what did you think? You know, were you ready to go, or were you just seriously bricking it?
Well, even I've walked in the grunt and Johnny's said to me, "Have you seen their lineup?" And it flashed up on the screen that's still working. God bless it. And you get the fear of God. Looking at that squad, honest to God, you get the fear of God, especially with us missing guys. You've got your doubts over Sammy being 100% fit. Hooper's missing. Scotty Brown, who I thought has been a revelation this season, was missing. Izzy was missing. Matthews coming into left back. All us guys sitting in this podcast and who spoke about it. You're just hoping everybody sticks to the plan and we don't go mental. But honest to God, I had a fear of God in me yesterday. I couldn't. You talked about being shit on the floor. I couldn't enjoy the lead up to the game yesterday. I really could. People are asking me what you think, and I kept saying we could end up taking a humping here. And I was listening to Talk Sport, that clown Durham, and he was going, "Is it better to lose a game in the last minute sickener or lose 5-0?" And I'm freaking out. No, I mean, I was freaking out, honest to God. And I drove out the game last night. And maybe that says more about my state of mind. I mean, I got slaughtered on the way in. my gaffer, he said, what happened to the days you had a bottle of wine by fucking 12:30, do you know what I mean? And I'm sitting going, maybe that was my state of mind, but
You clearly didn't see me and you on Sunday.
Aye, that's
Let's say about that the better. But so generally then, I suppose that what the question I'm trying to get at is the team that Lennon sent out to face Barcelona, did it pick itself? Was it picked for him, or did he, make critical choices about where he wanted his players to go and what? Given that Samaras was dodgy and the Brown was out, did the sort of the circumstances pick the team instead of the manager?
Well, again, as I said to you yesterday, we sat and spoke about it. I'd actually just today, I was off work today, and I kind of went through a load of podcasts that I've been in the Hail Media that I've been slowing up on, and I got to the TikTok, and they were talking about all the permutations, all can play, and they had the same reservations with us about Matthews. And we said maybe put Ledley in there. And Richie, rightly as he said, Richie went, you put Ledley in there, you've got no pace, he'll get torn apart. And I don't think, even Kai Allen on the bench, a year ago, maybe a wee bit more than a year ago, you wouldn't imagine ever playing against the best teams in the world without Kai Allen in your centre of the park. And now you're kind of, as much as the squad's great now, but look at the boys who are on the bench. And look at their bench again, and it's who the boy Fraser was on the bench, wasn't he? Hearn was on the bench. Mm-hmm. As you say, maybe it did pick itself in terms of personnel. I didn't think it picked itself in terms of formation and shape, because even after last week, I was still surprised by how we lined up a bit.
Fair enough. Richie, to pick Scott up on what he said there, we had that argument during the week about who drops into the full-back position because Zagiri was out. I was very much saying put Ledley in there because he's a left foot, but clearly you called it right, and Matthews did a good job, but it also left Ledley to do a damn good job in midfield too, isn't that right?
Oh, but I thought Matthews was outstanding. His discipline against Messi was amazing. He was obviously, told by Lennon, stay on your feet, don't dive in. And a couple of times he did go to dive in and he stopped himself. But I would always have them there. I know he's right-footed, but we were never going to really be building from that position anyway. So I didn't think that mattered. His pace and his discipline and his positioning. Joe Ledley, I've seen him play left back before. He's decent enough, but I think he would have struggled last night, and he was great in his own position. So, but I think Lennon got that one spot on. I don't think Ledley was ever going to be left back, but Lennon's tactics were just the same as the new camp. But brilliant. Just let him have the ball wide, and then we had the pace and the full backs to get out to them, and you're happy. You don't mind so much them getting crosses in, because I know Alexis got on the end of one, and Lustig, that was maybe his own mistake of the night, letting him get that. But you're not too worried about them in the air. I think their average height's about 5'8" or something compared to where ours is about 6'1". So, but I don't think I think Lennon was kind of restricted on who he could pick, but I think he would probably have maybe picked roughly that team anyway. Maybe Hooper for Miku, and that would have been it. I wasn't actually that bothered. Scott Brown would have been in, of course. Apart from that, but like Scott's talking about Kyle, Izagiri, well, two of those players, but, it's not far off the tighter team. There was no real difference. A couple of personnel changes, obviously, but not a massive difference to the team. I don't think Izagiri would have done any better than what Matthews did last night. In fact, I think Matthews is a better defender than Izagiri, so that maybe didn't work out too bad.
Richie, the thing that worked for us, which I never even took into consideration, was Alves started doing it a wee bit later on in the game to good effect for us, because he wasn't putting the ball anywhere near. Instead of getting the ball like your usual fullback or winger and firing the ball with his right foot in the box, he was cutting in, thus putting Adam Matthews basically into his favourite position. Do you know what I mean? And
did suit him,
as you said, Izagiri would have struggled with that. Would have struggled because he'd have been coming into Izagiri's wrong foot. I mean, Alves obviously clocked it because he started changing it and started just humping the ball into the box, and it wasn't out. I don't know how many times he crossed it right by the post.
Aye. Well, I've seen that. I think it was Tic Tac Tick his thing today, and he was talking about how Alves was putting him in high and Alba was putting him in low. You know, there were two totally different types of crosses that they were both putting in. But we coped fine. I thought Commons in the first half let Alba run a couple of times and was a bit lazy at tracking back, but I'd say he got a rocket at half time because the second half he was all air Alba. Really, he put in a really good shift.
I don't think he was lazy, really. They were trying to let them have the ball out there. And he's not the fastest, he was blowing out his arse. Yeah. He was trying his best, but he obviously got told to
I think a couple of times he wasn't even trying, he'd stopped. And he's guilty of that now and again, Commons, are not trying back properly. But he did it, he showed he's capable because he did it in the second half.
He just maybe gave him too much space out there. He wasn't good to him quick enough. More at design, they changed that a wee bit in the second half. They not give him as much time out wide to shut him down a bit quicker.
Just what I wanted to pick up with you, Johnny, was I was dead surprised. Sort of, I suppose, about 70 minutes in, it just suddenly dawned on me that we hadn't given that many free kicks away around the box.
Well, then the game in the Nou Camp, we never gave many fouls away either. So I think it was mainly because we let them have possession and we weren't diving in. So we were just trying to get a toe in now and again, like Big Ambrose. I don't know how many times he stuck his big leg out and he got onto the ball and nicked it away for their players. So by design we only try to dive in and we'll let them have the boss. We were never going to give a lot of free kicks away.
I actually thought there was more. I thought we'd give away more around the box in Barcelona because I remember Messi having about 4 or 5 free kick chances. I remember him having one last night. You know, so I thought it was fantastic. If maybe that's something. I think Scott had said the last time that Lennon needs to sit down and watch that performance, and I think he did. You know, I think he clearly learned. But Richie covered Matthews on the other side. We gave Lustig a little bit of stick a couple of months ago about his performances on the other wing. Very, very good game again last night until he went off, didn't he?
Oh, he did, and I think we're all eating my words now about Lustig. I think we're all slagging him. He's saying about his stupid moustache and it was rotten and all that kind of thing. He's stepped his game up big time. He looks a totally different player. He looks fast, he looks strong, whereas before he looked slow and weak, and he's always a good defender as well. Because we were comparing him to Andy Hinkle a wee bit and who couldn't defend, and this guy looks hungry, this guy can defend. So I think we're all eating my words, but I don't think we really care that we're eating my words. We're just glad that he's proved us wrong.
No, I think Lennon can take a lot of the credit for Lustig because obviously the guy looked like he was lacking confidence, and in his first few performances were pretty poor. But he's come on to a game, so obviously I'd say Lennon's must have put his arm around him and been a good support. And I noticed that when Watt scored the second goal as well, Lennon was running the touchline, Lustig was running after him, trying to jump on him and everything like that. So he seems to love Lennon, like most of the players, you know.
And it seems to be that Lennon has showed faith in him by playing him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if he has maybe had a dodgy game, he's kept him in. You know, so it's been a bit of a build-up sort of thing. Scott, we'd spoken as well about Miku. I had pointed out that I felt he needed a goal. You know, that he had showed enough for me that he was a player. We saw it on Sunday with the goal that he scored, and last night I think the stats showed that he covered more grass than any player on the pitch. What do you think? Or is he one to keep, or is this a flash in the pan, or what do you think so far?
Well, again, I'm not going to go as far as Johnny and start suiting my now, but I said yesterday, I actually said the last podcast we done that I felt with hindsight Miku would have probably been the better guy rather than Hooper up top. And I don't want to ever slate Gary Hooper. I love Gary Hooper, the way he plays and stuff. But I watched the Kilmarnock game and get beat, and a load of guys wrote him off, and I never wrote him off. And guys are going, what happened to Miku? And I'm going, the boy isn't suited to guys walloping him. And that's what Kilmarnock did. Every time the boy got near him, Kilmarnock gave him a dunt. He just knocked him off a ball. And he did lose interest, right? And for us, that's not acceptable. But see, for him, you can kind of understand where he's going, because he's came here and nobody rattles him after the ball's away. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we've all played football, and it happens at every level of Scottish football. We saw, you're quite right what you said, he needs a goal, but see against Dundee United, in fairness to them, try to play a bit of football. So it kind of did suit him a wee bit more. I mean, there was no Gary Kenneth there rattling him all about the place. I thought the boy played an outstanding game last night. I really did think the way he offered, he showed for everything. He never had. He worked. Song every time Song went the ball, he was working him. But then was good enough to and fit enough to run off him and beat him. I thought he had a great game, and he showed exactly what he is. Is he going to be a player for us for the future, for the SPL? I don't think so. And I say the same about Lassad, to be perfectly honest.
Well, we're on a watching brief. Again, hopefully this is another one to maybe make us eat our words, but I've certainly been impressed enough. Thought his goal on Sunday was tremendous.
He was actually holding the ball up a wee bit. But that's the way he played last night. He'll be used to playing like that when he was at Getafe.
Mm-hmm.
That's their style of play. So last night was perfect for him. They're not going to have much of the ball, and he's an out ball, and he takes the pressure off the rest of the team. And that's why Song should have got sent off, because he kept kicking him, because he kept holding the ball up.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best. And a lot of people have wrote the guy off, calling him a Bangura. Bloody ridiculous, man.
He's not Bangura. You don't play in La Liga for years and play for Venezuela if you're a crap player. I mean, the guy's quality. I don't know. Scott might be right. He might not be suited to the SPL. I've seen him. He was quoted as saying, the manager, I think it was after the Dundee United game, and the manager says that I'm the most technically gifted player in the squad, but I'm not physically ready yet for the SPL. But I was wondering what the rest of the team thought about him saying that, but that's what he said Lennon said to him anyway. So Lennon knows that he's not quite right for the SPL yet. But that's why I think we didn't miss Hooper that much. I wasn't that bothered. I wasn't particularly upset that he was out last night. I don't think last night would have been the game for Hooper anyway.
No, I agree with that.
I would agree with that too. Hooper's game is having the ball fed through to him on the run. He plays a sweet game, sort of thing. But Johnny, when your boy Tony Watt came off the bench, somebody on the huddle board or somewhere that I read today said that they were raging to see a young fella come off the bench like that in a game like this. But he really did fire his home, didn't he?
Well, the thing was, when he gets put through, it's that moment where you're like, is he going to, is he not going to? And then he, without even thinking about it, he smashes it in the net. You're just thinking, well, and it was ballsy by Lennon to stick him on, take off a defender, put on an 18-year-old striker, and then shuffle the defence a bit. But when the ball got put through him, it's like time stopped, and then just bang, he hit it before you could even think about it, and it's in the net. You're just thinking, man, if you play your cards right, you'll get a good career ahead of you. But it was just bedlam. It was a strange situation when he scored the goal, man. We kind of couldn't believe it.
Party in the Watt House. Richie, I suppose we weren't there. We were watching from afar, but it seemed to me again that the what I had said when we beat Spartak Moscow, what really pleased me about the result was that during the game we played at an even tempo the whole match, and sort of the opposite. Last night we played at an even tempo even though we were ahead. We never really seemed to panic one way or another. We sort of weathered that storm a wee bit. Unfortunately, Messi got a goal right at the very end, by which time the team was tired. But what does it say about Lennon that he's coaching his team in this manner?
Well, it just tells you about the homework that he does. I mean, he had Barcelona, every part of them scouted and knew what way they were going to play and how to counter them, and he did it perfectly. But I mean, you're right. The concentration levels was amazing from the team to play against a team that will just pass it and pass it and pass it, and never stop passing it. It must get mentally tiring, and to do that for 93 minutes. Then it was sensational, really, and the discipline as well. Because if you get tired, sometimes you're not able to close down, and that's when you start diving in and getting away silly free kicks, which we rarely did. I know we gave away one or two on the just outside the box later on, but I mean, generally, our discipline, our concentration, our fitness was brilliant. And I suppose we were talking close season about. Maybe Lennon was working them too hard, but apparently they were doing a lot of running and stuff like that. But I think we're seeing the fruits of that, now, and it's paying off.
Scott, you texted me sort of towards the end of the match asking if Mascherano should have been sent off for his tackle later on in the game. I thought that my own views on the referee, but I want yours. What did you think of how he handled the occasion last night?
Well, I don't know. It's hard because we always say about these European referees is that we think they let diving away too much. Even when you go back to the Juventus game all the years ago, and that Bampot Amoruso dived himself down when any other referee in the world wouldn't have gave that. Do you know what I mean? Last night he let Song away with murder. We know that. Now, Song should have been booked before he was, and then he should have been off when he done Miku, just like Johnny just said there. The decision with the Watt thing, see, watching it back, I don't think it's conclusive. He's definitely got a hold of his jersey, but you feel Watt's been done maybe a wee bit too light. But at the game, and Johnny will back me up here, it certainly looked like the wee guy with the wand, the wee Harry Potter guy on the side of the goal, wanted to speak to the ref, but the ref ran away from him. And I know these guys are all buzzed up, so you obviously the guy's not doing nothing. But it's just he let some things go, he let other things go. I didn't think it was a great performance for him, and I didn't think he was biased. I didn't think it was a case of Barcelona's a big club, and because ultimately he'd have made bigger decisions to kill us, I think, on the night. Do you know what I mean? He never made any decisions that really, really badly hurt us. At the game, I certainly felt it was a red card for Mascherano. Because we won, you're not really going to dig it up that badly. But Barcelona don't like it when they're getting beaten. That was one thing that kind of stuck out. They like to leave a wee lingering drag leg in there and stuff like that. But I thought the referee wasn't our major concern last night.
Richie, referee biased or balls up?
No, I mean, I suppose the sign of a decent referee is one you didn't really notice, and I can't say I particularly noticed him. He did bottle it. He should have sent Song off, but that's one where you can maybe let him away with. I agree with Scott on the Tony Watt thing. I thought it was a foul at first, but on the replay, you've seen them no giving, you've seen them giving. I wouldn't hang him for that either. I didn't think he was particularly bad. Like I say, I didn't particularly notice him. So that's the sign of somebody who's no. He wasn't the greatest. He wasn't the greatest ref in the world. He wasn't the worst, and we won. So I suppose you're not really complaining. I think Scott raised a good point about Barcelona when they're losing. Guys like Xavi and Iniesta, not in a bad way, but they hate losing, and then they get a wee bit nasty and appealing to the ref and fling themselves about a wee bit. That's a side to their game they need to really like to talk about sometimes because the way they play football.
Well, they need to talk about it because it doesn't happen very often. You know what I mean? So.
No.
That's why they get annoyed because they're not used to it. It's human nature.
That's what I was going to ask you, Johnny. It doesn't happen very often, but we've seen it in two matches where, number one, I felt like the likes of Messi get away with absolute murder. I saw it in the first leg in the new camp. The stuff that they were getting away with was unreal. I disagreed with the lads. I thought they should have been sent off for the Watford and Song as well. Is there because it's Hoga Bonita and Barcelona, what do you feel? Do you feel that they do get away whenever they lose a rag a wee bit? It doesn't happen often, but it does happen.
Well, they probably do. But was the ref, the Harry Potter guy definitely, could you see him doing something, Scott?
He walked on the pitch as if, like the way the Spartak Moscow one happened.
Aye.
But he certainly looked, I mean, I might be 100% wrong, but he looked like he was wanting to get the ref's attention. And he stepped on the pitch, which they don't usually do.
Alright, so that kind of sounds like he was doing it then. But does the ref thinking, we kind of have Barcelona getting beat 3-0? This is Barcelona. That kind of happened to them. That's not the way it's meant to work.
It was a call for a linesman anyway, wasn't it? It was a call for a linesman rather than the guy playing the goal. The linesman's right in line, but he can see if he's pulled.
But was there no somebody in the linesman's blocking the linesman's view? Was there no defender on the other side?
No, it was just Mascherano.
No. Exactly, aye. It's a massive decision, and see, to be perfectly honest, as much we're talking about arguably the best team in the world at this precise moment, the most famous club in the world because of the way they've kind of revolutionised football. To send off a defender when they're getting beaten out, as much as we say it's no about for referees, it shouldn't be about that. It is really in it, and you can imagine that they're making a big name for themselves. It's a massive call to do it, And I do think that there is a part of, oh no, can I really do this? Can I do this to Barcelona?
Do you know what I mean?
I dare say if it was Celtic, he would have been off the park.
That was you absolutely took the words right out of my mouth. It's the, I mean, even if you're reading the coverage today, well, it's very, very complimentary, most of it. You still see things like the Celtic hordes, these sort of words that conjure up this vision of these barbarians coming down out of the hills, But because it's Barcelona, to me, Richie, it's a strong ref and a good ref. The likes of Torino would have sent it, wouldn't have cared. Is that not the mark of it? Was that not how you put your flag down as a referee? You make those decisions that need to be made.
I mean, part and parcel of being the best team in the world and having a reputation is that you can influence refs. That comes with being a good team. Like Man United, Alex Ferguson, all this stuff, or they're always complaining about Fergie time and all that kind of stuff. They get that because they've earned it. You earn that for refs because of your reputation, the way you play football. So it comes part and parcel. Is it right? Probably no. That's the way it is. Your reputation does have an effect on referees. But I mean, looking at Tony Watt, the fact he scored and then he was through and goal like that, it was just a massive, for Lennon. That he actually brought him on at that point because he absolutely terrorised Mascherano and that other boy. Couldn't cope with his pace, so it absolutely terrified him. So, I mean, I was like, I don't know about that when we brought Watt on for Lustig, but a massive stroke from the manager, and I think, that should be, rather than the ref, we should be talking about him,
Yeah.
Johnny, you wanted to come in?
With what have done? He's just been through and goal and scored, no bother. But he went down. Well, Tino wanted to run over and score.
Technically, it's a foul, I mean, you've seen them, that kind of contact, foul's no given. But technically, that's a foul and he should have been sent off. But it's no one where he kicked him or he tripped him up it wasn't like the one in Moscow. It wasn't as obvious as that, is what I'm saying, But it was still technically a red card. And it should have been.
In fairness, I suppose we did get away with it a wee bit because Wanyama left the boot in pretty late on too, if you remember, just outside the box. Was it Wanyama or Ambrose? Stood one of the Barcelona players' feet. But sure, anyway, we'll leave the ref discussion for afterwards. I suppose we should really be looking ahead at the rest of the group and where we are at the minute. Richie, did you, we're 7 points at the minute. Is this where you thought would be at this stage?
Oh, I definitely. I thought we would have had 12. No, I thought we might have had 4 at the most. I didn't think we'd get in after Barcelona. Even last night, I thought maybe they'd beat us 2-0 or something. I just thought, we put in so much effort in the new camp, and then it was just going to be to go and play them again 2 weeks later. It was maybe going to be too much for such a young team. I didn't think we'd win, and particularly think we'd win in Moscow, but I thought we'd beat Benfica, so maybe we're 3 points ahead of what I thought we would have been. But we're in a great position. I think most of us would have been happy enough to qualify for the Europa League, so that looks pretty much a certainty, and we're hot favourites to finish second. So, we're in pole position in terms of qualifying for the last 16. So, I don't think we've got any fear for the way we play. I don't think we've got any fear for going to Benfica and Spartak at home, with the crowd behind us and the momentum and stuff like that. It's looking good.
But a Barcelona win away from being in Europe next year. I mean, that's even with our game. If Barcelona beat Spartak before we play Benfica, then we've guaranteed third place. That's class. That is absolute class, man.
Definitely, it's a hard group. Look at some of the other groups. That's Spartak, Moscow's a hard place to go. We won there. Benfica they got to the quarterfinals last year. They were just petered by Chelsea, and then you get Barcelona, the top 2 teams in Europe. So it was a hard group, and if we to finish third will be an achievement. To finish second will just be, overachieving.
Yeah.
Johnny, what do you think Lennon's approach is going to be here in Lisbon? Is he going to play the Celtic way, or is he going to revert to the same tactics that we've used against Barcelona over the last 2 games?
Well, I don't think we're going to play the Celtic way, and I don't think we're going to play the way we played against Barcelona. The way we won in Moscow, granted they went down to 10 men, but he had planned, they had watched Spartak Moscow and planned to combat the way they play and use it to their advantage. We've done it twice against Barcelona, and I really expect them to have done their homework on Benfica and we probably won't play the same way we did against Barcelona, where we're so compact with the wingers and stuff like that. There'll probably be some differences. But I've got every faith in his selections in Europe that he'll have done his homework and it'll be different in Benfica, and we'll play to their strengths and combat and what they're good at and taking advantage of their weaknesses, like we've done with Barcelona with Mulgrew's set pieces. It'll be similar to Barca, but there'll be some differences that the backroom staff have worked on in great detail, I'd imagine.
And I suppose that still, when we were there a couple of years back, Cardoza was one of the real threats, and he's still there. I think he scored both goals last night.
Yeah, and he missed a penalty as well.
And he missed a penalty, Jesus. So he could have had a hat trick. What's the tactics for that big guy? Is it just is it man marking him out of the match, putting somebody touch tape to him, or do we put a couple of defenders and keep a low lane, across the back of the box?
Well, unlike Barca, they will put crosses in for him, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's one major difference in the game from last night in a couple of weeks, because he is good in there. So who's better in there, Ambrose and Wilson? Don't really know, but somebody will have to stack on him and not give him any space in the box to get free headers.
Scott, did we learn anything from the first match with Benfica, or was it too much of a feeling out exercise? Was it too early for us, or is there stuff that Lennon will be saying, you know what, if we do this next time, we'll get results?
I don't know. I really don't know about that one, because you came away, everybody I spoke to, you came away understanding why we played like we did, but quite frustrated we played like we did, especially with them missing the guys that they were missing. I think, as I said in the podcast at the time, I think they came to Parkhead to get a point with the previous two visits to Celtic Park in mind. They thought we were going to come out and attack them, and it was going to be, we were going to batter them. And I get a feeling that they kind of were, they made a load of attack-minded. I think Aymar started on the bench, didn't he? And they brought him on. And I was, and Cardoza was on the bench as well. Sorry, that's what it was. Aymar was up top, Cardoza was on the bench.
On the bench.
So I think they came to Parkhead hoping to hit us on the break, and then when they realised that we were sitting there at home planning to beat them on the break, I think they stepped up, and I think both teams walked away at the end up kind of going, that was possible to drop 2 points. With hindsight, to us, it's basically been a great starting point. It put a point on the board and meant we travelled away with money in the bank, basically. With something on the board. We weren't going to go 3 games with no points like we did in the past. I don't know. Benfica, it's hard to say, because I watched Benfica against Barcelona, and despite Barcelona winning, I said Benfica are looking great. And then you saw their next game in Spartak, and they looked awful. They looked rotten. And
I really think that our game was a missed opportunity. Like, we could have been sitting on 9 points. I really felt we had it in, and even at that point in the season, we hadn't really kicked off the way we have since.
No, yeah.
But I definitely thought, you're right. There was a frustration about it that Jesus, we should have won that. Scotty?
Definitely, but I don't know. I don't know. As Johnny rightly says, that there is within Celtic fans now, Neil Lennon has deservedly got that trust from us all. He's got that trust that this team will be prepared. How much a sickener would it be if we go the next 2 games and make an arse of it, right? As much as we've all started this European campaign by saying, see, we've come third, that's brilliant. We're in a great position, and we've done. Have we done the hard part, or is the hard part yet to come? Samaras says in an interview straight away, we need to keep our feet in the deck. We say, because we've still got it. I think the Celtic fans trust enough in Neil Lennon that his team will have this approach, and they'll know what they're coming up against. It will only be a case of we'll be getting in there and we'll get gung ho and we'll get ripped apart as we have done in the past. I trust that the manager will be ready for anything they've got.
And it was great seeing Samaras speaking like that. because he's one of the senior guys in the squad.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody else is really excited. Wanyama and Watt getting interviewed. Then it went to Samaras, and he was kind of composed, and he's like, "Yeah, we've got to look at the big picture. We can't let this just be it. We need to kick on for here." It was really good to hear, and it's kind of changed days for Samaras over the last couple of years as well. It's just amazing, isn't it?
It was funny that
Happy days.
Just on that, do you remember a couple of weeks ago, F.A. Ambrose came out when the draw was made and said, "Oh, I'm going to shackle Messi." And people sort of people wanted to kill him. But actually, maybe he had a point. We didn't do too badly against Messi. He got his obligatory goal, but he didn't put us away. Johnny, sure he didn't.
No, he didn't even. He was going out in the right. I think I read on that zonal marking and tick. Both of them mentioned this, that Messi, when he's not getting any joy in the middle, he goes out to the right, and he went out to the right quite a lot last night. So that kind of shows that Wilson and Ambrose, but Ambrose in particular, played them fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But that's no beat about the bush here, lads. Right, I find myself as the older I get, I try to remain level-headed. Right, I listen to all the Hail Media podcasts, and I feel sometimes that people get a wee bit above ourselves. We sometimes maybe get a wee bit too down when we lose games, and we maybe get a wee bit too high when we win games. But see the new, fuck it, that was brilliant last night. That was one of the best things I've ever been to, and I'm delighted I never had a drink. I was there sober, and I remember every second of it, and I come home and I watched it again. Absolutely brilliant, right? Because no matter what anybody says, they are the best. They're the benchmark. They're now. Every team in the world is trying to be Barcelona. They're not trying to be Chelsea. They're not trying to be Bayern Munich. They're trying to be Barcelona. Barcelona is the best in the world. And Celtic done the job, and Celtic beat them, and Celtic deserved to beat them. And everybody, see Victor Wanyama, outstanding, worth 25 million. Brilliant, man. Everything about it. Every one of the players are heroes now.
No, completely. Richie, did you catch any of the international coverage today? I know you were working. Anything catch your eye?
International coverage? No, really, no. Just the Barcelona stuff, and I watched that Dutch thing that I think you posted on the Hudderboard, but that was just good, just for the sound and stuff like that. No, but I think this result will resonate all across Europe. The fact that Barcelona get beat, and the state. I mean, it's not just that they got beat. They could have got beat in Cluj or something like that, and people would be shocked. But I think the fact that we celebrated the 125th anniversary, the crowd, the display, the stadium, I think all of those things put together. I think that's what I was listening to the football weekly podcast from The Guardian, and the Sid Lowe was talking about it, and he was just saying it's an occasion, not just because they got beat, but the part the crowd played in it and that kind of thing. So I think what separates us from any other team that might have beat Barca is our supporters, and and the anniversary, and what the Green Brigade done was absolutely outstanding. That was I think I got texts from Man United fans, Liverpool fans last night at 28 just talking about the display. I thought it looked absolutely amazing, and those guys, the amount of work that must have went into that, for those guys volunteering at their own time, they should get a massive pat on the back as well.
No, I think five solid days they were there. I think we were up to 3:30 on match day, and they were in the stadium at some point Saturday. So absolutely brilliant. But I wanted to come to that later, but we may as well just we'll talk about it now. It doesn't make any difference. Johnny, is the Thunder back?
The Thunder is back, well and truly. And I just want to mention on the Green Brigade, since we're talking about it now, I think that last night was maybe a watershed moment for them, because it was been viral on Twitter when they were talking about don't hold your cards up too soon and all that kind of thing, wait till we do it and then do it. And the announcer at Parkhead actually said that himself, and that's the first time I've seen them really acknowledge the Green Brigade officially. So I think it was a bit of a watershed moment, and it's good to see, because they make the atmosphere at Parkhead these days. So it's good that they're getting some credit, and that the tifo was sensational. There was rumours that the red ones, when we couldn't see what it was a giant poppy, but that turned out to be false.
Giant poppy, Jesus Christ! I'd have went tonto about a poppy. But Scott, Lennon did say that he was here to bring the Thunder back. This time last year, he had just emerged totally scathed from the Kilmarnock debacle where it ended up 3-3. I suppose what more can be said about how far he's brought us?
It's some story, Neil Lennon. It really is an absolutely amazing story. Everything that goes with it. I mean, he was part of. We kind of hark back. The guys of our age, we hark back to the Martin era. It came after the Huns cheated for a couple of years, and it came after the Huns ruined Scottish football and all that and stuff. And then we got this team, and he stuck this wee ginger guy in the middle of the park. And he admittedly didn't have ginger hair, he used to dye it, but he stuck this wee guy in the middle of the park. He never played in the 6-2 game like Jason Higgins says, but he was there. But he was there. And there was a lot, in same fairness, a lot of guys didn't like Neil Lennon as a player. Right? A lot of guys liked Neil Lennon, and then he was there, and he was one of the only guy kind of that stepped out with Neil Lennon. He was the only with Gordon Strachan, sorry, he was the only guy, and then he went away, and he come back, and he was lauded with the wee push that we needed to get all the line when Heslip won the League Cup up in Tannadice. And then, so he's part of that, and he was part of the last 16 coaching team and stuff like that. And then he's come back, and we've said it a million times, did we want him as manager? Probably not. And then you think all the crap that's happened to him. Right? It's crap that is no happened to 99% of other managers in this country, this league, this British Isles, this European league, whatever. I mean, you think of some of the crap that he's the Bullets thing, and then that scumbag who attacked him, and then you think of what people have nobody's backed him. Nobody's. I mean, apart from us, God, we're always going to stick around in him. But the Scottish system has let him down time and time and time again. Yet he stood up, and God bless him. Now they have to show him the respect he's due, not only as a manager but as a man. Because where's the snarling Neil Lennon now? The guy's a gentleman. The guy, and the way he talks, he's an absolute credit to the club. He's an absolute credit, and even the thing on Tuesday night, he was there, and it's the guy deserves so much credit on so many different levels.
But what I can see coming, Richie, I'm going to bring you in here because you're not in Scotland, like myself. But what I've noticed over the last day or two, he's sort of going over the head of the Scottish media and getting his words out and beyond. Because we lifted the phone today to Talksport to have a chat. Tonight he was on Sky Sports News. Richie, is he making a conscious effort to break out above the Glasgow press gang?
I'd say he probably is, and you wouldn't blame him considering the way they treated him, the way they portray him. Everybody, just the tabloids, even the BBC, they love to put a picture of him, regardless of what the story is. They love to put a picture, off guard when he's maybe shouting or something like that, to make him look bad. So fair play to him if he's looking to broaden his horizons a bit. He spoke brilliantly last night. Celtic had the post-match press conference up, and the way he spoke, he was obviously talking to the international press. He was just a great ambassador for the club, and it was great to have him. Considering the position we were in last year, where I wanted him to be sacked. So who knows where he would be or we would be if we had actually got rid of him. At the time when we were losing 3-0 at Kilmarnock. But I mean, the guy's just come on leaps and bounds. He's learning all the time. He's learning from mistakes. Our record in Europe, 6-1-6, drew 1, lost 1 in the Champions League this year, including qualifiers. That's absolutely brilliant. So he's taking lessons from Utrecht, Sion, the Europa League games, and you could see some of this. So the way we're playing now, you could see some of that happening in the Europa League last season, the game against Rennes at home. We played similar. The kind of football we're playing now, counter-attacking, and it worked, and he saw that, and he's developed it. He's brought in players who suit it, Miku and that kind of thing. I think he had that kind of thing in mind, what he wanted and that kind of stuff. And, our guys who aren't going to be able to live up to that system are getting phased out. I don't think you'll see a guy, I think Anthony Stokes' Celtic career is probably finished just because, I don't think he fits into the way Lennon wants us to play football. in terms of Europe and that kind of stuff. So we're developing, he's developing, and it's exciting times.
Johnny, we're minted. We've got a few quid, probably for the first time in I don't know how long. We're going to come out of this season, with huge amounts of money in the bank. We've always talked privately, I suppose, off air, maybe not on the topic stand, but we've always said the Celtic never seemed throughout our career to ever build from a position of strength. With the imposition of the Porto model and the cash available at bank, at the end of the season through the Champions League and the chances of player sales and stuff coming up, what do you think are our priorities in terms of actually bedding in for the next 5 to 10 years?
It's making that scouting system work that we seem to have. It's 7 players targets in place. Should we sell the likes of Wanyama? It's like we'll sell him, but we've got this guy to replace him. It's making sure that's in place, and then focusing on bringing young guys through, because this scouting and bringing young guys, this is how it's going to be. This is going to work if we put the funds in it. We're going to get the fruits in the years to come. So I think if we're going to sell players, we need to have a replacement lined up, because that's what Porto do, and that's why it works for Porto. And they get 30 million all the time for guys. We're going to get big bucks for Wanyama in the summer. We're going to get big bucks for probably Hooper, Foster. But we need to have replacements lined up. And I think that's the important thing to do after this season, because we're going to be loaded. What do we get for a win in the Champions League?
€1 million, 800 grand.
do we get? So you get a certain amount of money per point. You don't get anything for a goal or anything.
Yeah, you get. Is it $500,000 or $250,000 or $500,000 for a draw? $1 million for a win. You get extra points for goals. You get goal bonuses and stuff. So I think we're going to come out of it. That's and that's beyond your market money that you get anyway. So it's easily going to be in the range of 20 million. And if you sold Wanyama, he's easily going to be in the range of 20 million. So you could be sitting with a 40 million surplus, which is basically the money that Fergus McCann took with him in 1989. So it would be an enormous sort of an enormous amount of cash at bank. Richie, we're dreaming that we're going to have 40 million quid in the bank at the end of the year, and we seem to what I'm going to ask is, have we all embraced the Porto model, or should we be going out and buying a couple of players worth X or whatever?
No, I don't think so. I think this is the way forward for a team like Celtic, where our revenue streams are limited, and we're certainly not going to go any kind of debt. So I think the fans, I still don't think our fans are quite used, or still got their head around the model and whether it was going to be. You still see people getting upset at the prospect of Wanyama leaving. He took a wee bit of abuse on Twitter, because he obviously he's interested in moving on, and he took a bit of abuse. So our fans will have to get their head around the fact that guys like this will never, and they should have their head around it by now, because we've always sold our best players, but we've never done it the way we're doing it now, as in buying them before they're in their prime, and then developing them and then selling them on. This is a kind of new thing, so there's a bit of cultural change for Celtic supporters, but it's the way to go for us. And then you get a name after a while of, Celtic, they bring through good players, we'll be getting somebody when we buy him. We're not taking a punt. So Porto will get a premium on players, not just because of how good the player is, but because they're buying them for Porto.
Ajax are the same. I mean, Ajax have dined out on their youth policy for the last 30 years, even during the time when there seemed to me as if anyway that their youth policy wasn't really doing much.
And Ajax have slipped back a wee bit in that regard. They don't bring through the people they used to in the mid-90s. They're not getting the players that they used to. They don't seem to be getting the kind of African boys and that kind of stuff the way they used to, like Winston Bogard and all those types. So I mean, Porto are the kings in terms of that.
Winston Bogard was push.
Those kind of guys, but kind of guys for Africa.
Guys who were making them. But Johnny, that was my point. Winston Bogard was pish, but they still made a fortune on him because
still to Barcelona, and he wasn't a
bad player. What I mean? Exactly, but it was because it was the reputation of the Ajax academy that we this guy and he's automatically worth a fortune. But Johnny, what I wanted to ask you about was this. on a related theme, our players are going to be coming in for a certain amount of interest, for want of a better term. But what about the likes of Chris McCart or John Park? You know, the backroom guys who are bringing these guys through. Surely the Jesus or some big European or English teams are looking at their expertise now.
But obviously they're going to be getting interest in Chris McCart's on the RTE next football star thing as well, so he's getting more exposure through that. But it just seems everything just seems to be, the jigsaw seems to just came together, and I think everybody's pulling in the same direction. So I think the looks things Lennon's going to be there for quite a few years, and his infrastructure hopefully is all going to stay. All the backroom stuff's going to stay and grow. And that's the main thing. I mean, the players are always going to change, but I think it just seems like everybody's pulling in the same way, and it's a really exciting time to be involved at the club.
See that though. See what you're saying there, John. Right? I totally agree, and we don't want to be losing. For what I'm led to believe is John Park does pretty well out of Celtic, and if he leaves, it'll be his own desire rather than a monetary thing. I think he is well embraced at the club, but Celtic have kind of got to, as much as we're bringing all these players in, we've still got to bring in coaches and scouts. We've always got to look in that way, just in case somebody goes, we've got a replacement, some guy that we can trust, and then it goes back doing exactly what John's saying, infrastructure. See Barcelona, right? Barcelona have had super scouts who have all decided to move on and better their own career, maybe for money or a more high profile job, and they've replaced the guys, and the guys are then going away looking for the exact same type of players as everybody else is. I mean, there's a due process. This guy's got to be able to control the ball, his attitude's got to be right and stuff like that. So that's something that Celtic's always got to look at. To come back a wee bit, I don't think the Celtic fans have totally embraced the model that we are trying to implement, because ultimately we've not really done it yet. Key came in, and it's again we'll not get into the big Key argument. Key came in, was a bit part player at Celtic and moved on, and we earned good dough for him. Strike one for the selling process. Aside for that, who else has really done it? We spoke about all these guys, what we've got, and we've got a hell of a lot of potential money-wise at this club, right? And everybody agrees Victor Wanyama's gone, and now it's a case of exactly what you guys are saying, prime dollar, right? I was saying in the last podcast, I'd rather keep Victor for one more year. I mean, one more year. But who's next? I mean, see 2 years. Sorry, Marty. 2 secs.
Go ahead.
We spoke of Azaguiri, right? Azaguiri, and everybody, we were talking about 10 million to Barcelona with Azaguiri, right? And we didn't really want him to leave because we felt we could keep a hold of him. Are we ever going to get 10 million for Azaguiri? Kayal, exact same. Are we ever going to get so as much as that's the model, that's the aim, we really haven't get really involved in it, because see the big keeper as it sits now, we could probably punt that big keeper for 8, 9, 10 million pound, right? Because I said in the last podcast he'll never have a game like that. Boom, there he goes, another game like that. This guy's a stunning keeper, but we've not really. Once we start selling guys for big bucks, replacing them, selling guys for big bucks, replace them, then the Celtic fans will buy it, and it ain't a problem. I mean, ultimately we'll still want big name signings to go with it, but I don't think we've fully flung ourselves into it yet.
No, there's an optimum time to sell guys as well, you know, which we haven't done either. But I think the key is that we need to sell a player to a big team, no Swansea's or that kind of thing. We need to sell a player directly to Man United or Man City or Arsenal or Barcelona.
But Richie, surely, that's what I was going to ask you. Surely to God, Barcelona are watching the job that Wanyama did last night, watching his family relations doing it in Italy, and thinking, he'll do for us.
Oh, they must be. I mean, I'd say they're sitting thinking, why didn't we not buy this guy instead of Alex Song? Because Wanyama's 3 times the player Alex Song is. He's better in every department. You know, he's just a much better. You know, he's like Alex Song but better. So they went. I don't know how much they paid. Maybe 15 million. I don't know why they bought him. But anyway, they did, and Wanyama was a better player. Anybody can see that. It doesn't matter if he's playing for Celtic in the SPL. He's doing it in the Champions League.
But Richie, that's ultimately what it comes down to. Porto, as Johnny rightly says, and as you said, Porto have been playing in the Champions League. These guys are getting signed by Barcelona, by Man United. These guys are going to top European clubs because they're doing it in the European scene. They're doing it European scene time and time and time again. Much as Victor Wanyama, last time we spoke, I said I was a wee bit disappointed in the big man. I was expecting a big performance and I didn't think he was great. Last night was the kind of performance that gets you a move to Barcelona. To go out, score against them, boss their midfield. I mean, that's the kind of... And as you say, everybody... I mean, Jamie Redknapp, what was he calling him on the telly last night? He was calling him the fireman. He was putting out fires. I mean, so that's the performances that... If these guys want to move to the biggest clubs, they don't want to go to Swansea. If these guys want to go to the biggest clubs, then turn it on in Europe, and everybody will win at it. Win-win.
Exactly, and we get the exposure. But just talking about Celtic and the model and stuff like that, I don't know how ingrained it is in the club either. I don't know if it's a case that if John Park left and Neil Lennon left, we certainly want to seamlessly move into the continuity, keeping it going.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have the system at the club. We've got two guys who are doing a job really well for us, but take them out, and it's not the same way as at Ajax and Porto where you can change managers and that kind of stuff. I mean, Peter Lawwell, in my opinion, what we're doing just now isn't because of Peter Lawwell, it's more in spite of him,
Johnny, I just want to bring you in there. Just on that, Richie was saying there, about personnel changes at the top, but sort of working in spite of Lawwell. But Tommy Burns passed away. He sort of took the leading role in embedding the academy and getting ethos in it. But the academy's still producing players. So is it the man or is it the system?
It's Peter Lawwell's the chief executive. A lot of this is coming for him. He'll have seen, he's a money man, he's an accountant. All he cares about is money, basically. He'll have seen how it works at other clubs and how it's been successful, and he'll have wanted to implement it. And he's got a guy like Lennon who wants to go far in the game, and he's got really good ideas. You've got Park, who's a really good scout, which is why we brought him for Hibs. So all these three things combined, it's all working together. But I'd imagine Law had a big hand in how the way we're going to be developing, we've got to continue to develop. I mean, the way we're getting the academy guys into St Ninians, I mean, that would have had to get okayed by him, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of it does come from him. And these guys have got the jobs and they're coming up with ideas. And it's all about improving. You don't rest on your laurels. We'll need to keep improving over the years. But these guys come up with ideas. But Law will give it the yes or no answer. He's got the final say, and that's basically it. But Park and Lennon are doing good jobs, but the big decisions are made by Lawwell, in my opinion.
Well, I don't think there's anything much more to be said. Scott, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap it up here tonight?
Yeah, no, nothing to me.
Okay, Richie, I know Richie's battery's going there over in Drogheda. He's going to have to drop out. I suppose there's a couple of things just to talk about. First of all, the Mass on Tuesday night, the 125th anniversary Mass. I think the Celtic Grace Society need to be recognised enormously by all the support for bringing such a special event. So well done, all of those guys. And at the minute, I think there's a handful of fellas who are cycling between Ballymote and Celtic Park. Lunatics to a man, but fair play to them for taking the trouble to cycle for charity for this year. So well done, everybody who was involved. Just looking at Richie, you're back, aren't you?
I'm back.
Just looking at the pictures of the event on Tuesday night, it was something else, wasn't it? The Mass at St Mary's.
Oh, it was an amazing event, even for people like myself who wouldn't really be Mass goers. But it was brilliant, and it sums up everything that Celtic is all about. And the pictures were brilliant. I thought whoever took them, the kind of black and white ones, and the fact that we had the Barcelona contingent there and everything, it was just a great event for Celtic, and sums up everything we're all about. We are, a Catholic team, so I think it was fitting to have a Mass. Or we're not a Catholic team, but our roots are based in that. So it was great to have that kind of stuff going on, and just, it's a real. I don't know how to describe it, but it was just a class, the whole event, and just Celtic Graves. The work they do is amazing, absolutely amazing. I don't think there's any other team in the world that has a group like that doing that sort of stuff. They should, but we're lucky to have them.
No, if you know your history, I think the Celtic Graves and the Green Brigade are really elevating our club up above and beyond in terms of its supporter base. All right, well, I think we've covered everything. I'm exhausted. I can't wait to get to bed. It's been a really busy week. Started for me on Saturday to go to the Dundee United match. But I think there's much to be said. I think we've covered most of the angles regarding the Barcelona tie and also the events of this week. So well done again to the Celtic Graves Society and the Green Brigade too. Fair play. The stuff that's been going on this week has really been stratospheric. So I just want to reflect for a couple of minutes on Hearts and just wish them all the best when they're going into liquidation following their cousins in Glasgow. Hopefully they'll be the next casualty of this Armageddon of Scottish football. But all that's left for me is to say, Scotty, thank you very much.
Cheers, Marty.
Johnny Forbes, thanking you.
Cheers, boys.
And Richie, good night, God bless.
Cheers, all the best.
Hey, everybody, thanks very much.
That's us for another week. Hope you enjoyed that, and I dare say by the time you listen to this, you'll still be walking on air. Anyway, hopefully we'll be back next week, and we hope that you keep downloading this and all the other Hail Media podcasts. Some great stuff out there just now. So good night, God bless, well done, Celtic, and Hail.